Hello, SpeedGaming, and welcome to SpeedGaming Live 2020's Super Metroid and A Link to the Past Combo Randomizer Tournament. Today we have azder versus Alucard2004 in the quarterfinals. With me today we have Ace0. How are you doing, Ace?
I'm doing great. How are you, Polar Bear Bunny?
Doing fantastic. Pretty excited for this one. Kind of things are you expecting today?
I'm definitely expecting a good match, no matter what happens here. These are two fantastic runners, and they're going to put on a really good show. I kind of expect different styles a little bit in routing from both of our runners. I think we could be wrong. It depends how the seed shakes out, but I think we might see a little bit more conservative play from Alucard and a little bit more aggressive decisions from azder. Do you think that's what we'll see as well?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Maybe Alucard might want to spend more time in A Link to the Past. Perhaps that's his stronger game, and azder may be stronger in Super Metroid. But we'll have to see where the seed takes him.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on the seed, there might not be a lot of good options for route divergence. We might not really see a lot of that. Hopefully we do. Hopefully we get some good decision points to let us see different ways of handling the game. That's one of the things that I like best about this personally, is how many different ways you can attack the same seed and how you can do it so well no matter what you do.
Yeah, I want to see really good divergence too. I think the races that are the most fun to watch are the ones that you really don't know who's gonna win until like the very end.
Yeah, for sure. We likely won't be seeing any of that divergence or difference immediately. I would suspect both runners are going to go into Link to the Past once they get started here in just a moment. There's only one check in logic in Super Metroid at the beginning, but we could see that morph pedestal ceiling E-tank check from one of our runners as a little bit of a gamble early on.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see it, but I think it would be really fun to know what's there.
Off. It looks like indeed both are runners taking the portal over here. They're going to check the item on Lake Hylia Island, and then we'll see possibly some differences there. There's a few different ways you can attack the early Link to the Past checks.
Yeah, I don't mind going right to the uncle at the beginning. Because with the Super Metroid items in the item pool, you're a lot less likely to get some free rupees and bombs.
Yeah, absolutely. It does add a little bit more value to the tree pulls. And when you transfer from one game to the other here at the beginning, it does set you up for the tier 3 tree pull, which is just hearts. We see azder pull that first, and Alucard right behind him. And also, not to mention that the rupees are harder to come by, as you said, but on top of that, some of the SM ammo is kind of nice to have. So even if it turns out to be junk, it could be, super missiles or something that isn't needed, but kind of useful.
Yeah, we get our bow to start off with from the uncle chest. No bow hunts today.
Yeah, that can be a particularly bad one. It's unfortunate they don't have any arrows. It's a rare circumstance where arrows from that tree pole would have been really nice, because then they could have just done front of escape while they were right there with a weapon.
Yeah, that's a great point. Also the glove, so they could. No, they can't. They can't do back of escape without bombs or boots, but I'm sure that'll be one of the next things after Kakariko.
Yeah, I suspect we'll see that soon. Maybe after the South Shore checks, maybe even after Sahasrahla and Eastern Palace. Eastern Palace is the green pendant, which is could potentially affect our runner's decision to go there earlier than they would, or later than they would, if it was either a crystal or a non-green pendant. There's those arrows.
Yeah, the crab has some arrows for you.
Yeah, just an energy tank on the lumberjack. So we will almost certainly not be seeing Aghanim. We definitely won't be seeing that energy tank get picked up by these guys. They will make do with whatever they run across.
Indeed. Looked like we had Desert, another pendant, and then Tower of Hera, or only Light World Crystal.
Yep, and we see again already a little bit of that more aggressive play from azder, not picking up that heart piece that Alucard opted to pick up. It's one of those things that's tricky because you want to skip them, assuming you're going to get some more hearts as you go. But at the same time, if you skip too many, you can run yourself into trouble with some very low health situations.
Alu doing something a little different here. Let's see. Oh, he's gonna do the south route. That's a good idea, I think, in SMZ3. Sometimes there are these bushes below the forest here that are 50-50 bron drops.
Yeah, I like this play from Alucard with the specific rupee count they have. Azur's going to get a guaranteed 10 in here. He does get a little bit lucky, get some rupees in that chest. And the morph ball, that's a big one. But without the rupees in that chest, he'd have to either drop down again or check the front of Blind's Hut and hope to get enough rupees to get bombs. Whereas Alucard has 50-50 drops from these bushes. He's going to get at least 1 or 2 bombs going into Kakariko, make it a little bit safer for him.
Alu not getting the best of luck, but he's got a couple now. And was that morph ball bombs there that I saw?
Yeah, that's right. That's morph ball bombs. With morph ball, that's immediately useful. They've got can fly and can access a lot of items. Not only have a reduced need for power bombs, but just access to items without even having any power bombs at the moment.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Sometimes runners don't really like to go to Brinstar without at least 10, but now 5 will be just fine.
Yeah, at the moment we've got 0. I don't think we've seen any super missiles yet either, or potentially even any missiles, unless I missed them. So we're not quite ready for Super Metroid yet. But there's still a few more checks here in Kakariko. Azur's going to drop down to the well again to open up the back chest, and then have the Blind's Hut available as well. We do have at least 1 energy tank, so that's nice as well for early Super Metroid access. Some of those checks you might do early, like the Gauntlet, isn't too scary for these guys, but if you dip in the acid for just a second, you're going to want at least 1 energy tank to save you from a mistake.
Yep. We finally got just a little bit of ammo, and then a bunch of love here in Blind's Hut. And a shield! We all love shields. Don't you, Ace?
I like the first one. The first one, there's a couple places that are difficult to get around enemies without it, particularly going into Swamp Palace. That moblin that throws spears at you can be tough to deal with, but once you get up to the higher level shields, they just start to add lag to the game, and at the level these runners are at, they really don't need the extra protection.
Right. And of course, the bottle vendor giving us bombs. That's very sweet of him.
You see Alucard showing off something he's rarely seen. If you have a bush that you're carrying and you jump off a ledge, it actually increases your movement speed. So he takes advantage of that to get down to the bomb shop a little faster, so he can buy bombs and then check the rest of these Kakariko checks. Not really a whole lot of value. The morph ball is huge, but not useful just yet for the runners.
Yeah, I'd probably wait till I at least get some supers to go into SM, but we'll see what these guys do. Back of escape now for azder.
That's right, and I missed what was it, Sanctuary, but it was not the small key. If the small key's back here, there's an opportunity to go through the back. There is the small key, but it's pretty dangerous to go through the back of escape backwards in the dark to try to get to that dark cross. Azder's going to opt out of that.
Yeah, bow not being the best item to kill that key rat with. Yeah, our sync was actually the glove, so the map is still out there somewhere.
Oh, that's right. That was the glove. You can see on the camera there, Alucard a little bit frustrated. He had to go to one extra jump into the well to farm up the rupees to afford Bottle Vendor's item, and it was not anything that he wanted.
That's always a downer.
Yeah, it's funny for him, though, that azder also had 2 dips into the well, so there's no real time loss from either runner due to that play. But yeah, we did get our first power bomb back at the back of escape. That's worth mentioning, of course. Still no super missiles, and you're gonna want at least 1 super missile packed before you jump in. It's one of those things that happens so rarely that you don't get them early, but you might forget that there's green doors on path that you can't open.
Yep. And in either rando, you kind of want to minimize things that you have to skip and come back for.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. The Moldorm here dodging all the arrows. Wow.
That was silly. We got a full heart, a bottle. First bottle. We got some supers, finally.
Okay.
And space jump. Woohoo!
That's nice. So now you don't have to do the slow infinite bomb jump to get to places that are high up. And with that, we see azder does a save and quit and resets, immediately going to go into Super Metroid, opting not to do the Ice Rod Cave, not going to do Eastern or Sahasrahla.
555 for ammo. So yeah, hardly any ammo up there in Kakariko today.
Yeah, this is possibly the lowest ammo count I think I've ever seen anybody go into Super Metroid with.
Yeah, I think so.
It's one of those things that if he's careful with it and pays attention, it might not slow him down, but it could potentially still slow him down by having to refill or farm ammo up as he moves through if he doesn't get lucky and find more on path here.
Criteria power bombs holding our blue mail. Alu up in Mini Moldorm getting his supers and his space jump in the bottle. And we're gonna see a Bomb Chorizo fight today.
Yep, and with the early Morph Ball bombs, it is going to be a fight. He's going to show up and get angry.
He's gonna defend those 20 rupees. So yeah, the fastest strat, if you get it quite right, is the 2 missiles and 1 super. But 2 supers will do the trick as well, which is what I like to do.
Yep, and that's a very quick fight. A little bit of a time loss. Not quite worth it for the 20 rupees, but not too bad. Considering the vanilla game, you don't have those super missiles to help you out. It speeds it up considerably.
Just missiles and Ice Rod Cave, so a little bit of a time loss for Alu there, not quite the worth it item.
Yeah, and he's going to Eastern Sahasrahla. This is not surprising to me from his style of play. Wants to be more thorough and really potentially just thinking that more ammo even would make his Super Metroid easier, would make it a little bit faster. So this makes sense that he's going to continue checking over here. We'll see. He is going straight to Eastern. I kind of like this. It's risky without the bow, not the most hearts, and you're kind of committing to do Eastern Palace and then turn in the green pendant when you go to Sahasrar's hut the first time.
Yeah, I think that's his plan. Ooh, a hookshot in the back of Gauntlet, so we'll be seeing that eventually.
Yeah, that is potentially skippable if the runners know how to hover, which I believe Azure does and Alucard does not hover. But that would require a Swamp Palace that's a pendant, and we already know 2 of our pendants, so that's pretty unlikely at this point.
Yeah, if I read chat right, Alucard plays on keyboard, and I think it's near impossible to hover on a keyboard.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work, but I've certainly never seen him do it. Yeah, and both runners actually have picked up another 300 rupees. Astra picked up one here in Super Metroid, and Alucard picked one up in the front of Eastern Palace. So, or wait, no, sorry, Alu picked up both of them.
Yeah, I think he had 2.
Yeah, they're both in his game. So now he's got Zora money, and that is logically available with that bow too. Or
yeah,
bow,
with the
sorry,
glove. Oh, and there's our Spacer Beam. That's exciting. Mean Beam. Good damage, I mean, especially here in the early parts of the game. I'm not gonna snub Spacer here.
Yeah, I mean, you literally would have to slow down to get around it there and not pick it up. So as you're certainly going to grab it, and the nice thing too is getting that in Super Metroid means you don't have to pause in menu to equip it, because then you have the decision of, is it worth it to menu to equip it? And for someone like Azure, he very well might opt not to do that.
Yeah. He'll wait until he needs to menu for something else in order to switch his beams. Meanwhile, he found the fire rod up there at Akun's PPs, and Alu very nicely getting through the dark rooms with just the bow and arrow to guide him.
Yeah, well done. He's got 3 hearts to spare, so he should be able to do the damage boost here to get the vanilla big key chest opened.
Kind of a lucky super pack there at the top of Big Pink for Azure. Makes getting through those side hoppers a lot safer, and you need 1 super to get this item, which was the bug net.
Yeah, this is a pretty dense area for the need for supers, because you need 1 to get back behind Spore Spawn, you need 1 when you leave to go to the right and continue through Green Hill Zone or up Blue Brinstar, so having the extra pack is nice. He might not have to farm here. Also, Wave Gate, if he doesn't have Wave Beam, which currently he doesn't, he's going to require a Super Missile to sneak around that logic and get that item.
And sometimes that can just take a few tries. He's only gonna come out of here with 1 for the Wave Gate, so we'll see what he chooses to do. And only 1 Power Bomb. Alu in a pretty tough dark room. Ooh, and there's a mirror for Azure. You have to find that Igor in the dark and not get hit by him, because Igors, no matter what mail you have, they'll still do 1 heart to you, but he gets through very nicely.
It's too bad for him he doesn't have that fire rod that Astra picked up, because you could use that to light the candle or the torch on the right side, and then have basically a free chance at getting through. Interesting, we did not see Wave Gate check on Astra's side.
Yep, that's that's azder for you. He didn't want to waste time farming a super, so he just came on down through the door. And I mean, it is out of logic, so it's not like the worst thing you can do, and he can always get it if he has to come back for a waterway or something like that, or maybe even once he decides to do Blue Bryn, he can come around that way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Blue Bryn takes a lot of power bombs, so that's probably a decision and not going there right now. It is pretty close by. You could do those later together potentially. Didn't see anything of value on Armos there from Alucard. He does a nice job getting that fight done quickly. Could still potentially be value on that green pendant though.
X-Ray not holding anything too exciting for us. But I want to see what's on this green pendant. Oh wow, nothing. So this early bow is just absolute bait right now. Wow. And he even saw his closet was just a huge load of baloney. That's amazing.
Yeah, at this point, I imagine Alucard's not feeling too great about this. He didn't really get a lot of ammo either. We'll see what his ammo count is when he goes in, but didn't get any more power bombs. I don't know if he got a super pack, but I think he got just maybe one missile pack or a couple. Yeah, a couple missile packs was it. So not much to help him. We do see a difference in running. I know Alucard likes with a low power bomb count to go in through the portal instead of doing the reset, which allows you to check the 230 missiles and bomb chorizo on your way up. Then you can refill your power bombs and then go through. In this case, you can go through Gauntlet. If not, you could opt to go down Red Tower or Wreck Ship, or have your pick of where you wanted to go.
Yeah, that's really smart routing. Yeah, I kind of think Eastern wouldn't have been very much appealing at all if it weren't the green pendant. And I also think it's reasonable to assume that that's not a play that azder would be making. So you kind of want to make it and see if you can get something that would be, a leg up on him. But unfortunately, that just didn't work out.
Yeah, and there's still a chance that azder does that later. He does have the mirror, so if he ends up in pod and is running low on checks, he might, but I agree, it doesn't seem like the kind of play he would make with the Super Metroid opening up with the Morph Ball so early. And indeed, it was not the choice that he made.
Nice quick kill from azder, and Alu gonna pick up his blue mail.
Yeah, I like how azder waited for a little bit longer to get Kraid's hand in a good position to make it an easier quick kill, but still get the fight done before Kraid stands up and keep it under control.
Alu gonna go for Gauntlet now. If he makes it through safely, he'll be rewarded with at least the hook shot.
Yeah, it's a little bit of efficiency since he won't have to go back through later, but at the same time, if there's anything of value in the middle here, the first Gauntlet item, it's not like azder's going to be missing out. He knows about the hook shot. He'll be back for it as well.
Ooh, his first sword.
Yeah, I really like that fall azder just did through the business center. That was really smooth. Not bonking on any of those platforms is very impressive.
Well, it was spooking me a little bit.
Yeah, he is taking this really safe.
Should be
Laying the
good
power
now.
bomb, retreating.
Space Jump can help make Gauntlet a lot easier if you're running low on other things.
Yeah, honestly, probably the most dangerous part of it is the low power bomb count, because you're so used to doing it with power bombs that having to go through there with more full bombs changes the cycle that the acid is on. So it kind of throws you off a little bit in your rhythm.
Yeah. As you're gonna dip Death Mountain here, gonna save the old man and get his checkpoint. Also gonna use the bow and arrow to navigate.
Yeah, looks like you made it around the first corner and then through the door.
Yeah, it does kind of affect him that he doesn't have the hook shot now, because doing East Death Mountain would be pretty nice. But I kind of think he's just gonna go right back into SM, maybe?
He does have the mirror. He can get up to Tower of Hera, but he doesn't have the sword that was at the front of Gauntlet. So yeah, that Gauntlet actually might be a big factor here, because he can't clear Hera, he can't do East Death Mountain, he can just check the front of Hera if he chooses to, and these 2 Spectacle Rock items.
There's X-Ray up there. Yeah, I can honestly see him peeking in Hera, doing as much as he can there, and then going right back into Super Metroid, maybe even heading over to the wreck ship.
Yeah, this is also nice because it lets him, if he chooses to do a map check here, which maybe he forgot or wasn't thinking or just likes to do it later, but you can get information on what that third pendant is and what your red crystals are, to have that knowledge for how you want to tackle your Dark World when you first get access to it. You know, it's very easy, at least for me, to forget that you can check the map there when you're on your way to Hera.
Yeah, same here. Alright, Alu, armed with his Spazer, gonna get his fire rod up here at the top. And we have a small key and a compass for azder and Hera, so big key is in the basement. He has a fire source, so he can go ahead and grab it. Question is, do you keep going in Hera and take the chance that there's a weapon in the next 2 chests?
I don't know. I would say probably not. It's 1 guaranteed item, potentially 2 items you can get before hitting the boss. It is a crystal, so you know you have to come back. I kind of like the play to get the key here, because if you're planning on doing this without doing the Hera pot later, you want to get the big key to check that big chest. It's a 2 out of 3 chance that it's an item. And it looks like Asher intentionally taking some hits there to set up the death warp. So actually, maybe not. He does have the mirror. It may not have been intentional. At this point, he almost, just saving quitting, I guess, to go back to Super Metroid.
Yeah,
I like the play to not go up here, because there's potentially an item still on Moldorm that you don't want to have to climb up again later.
I might have stayed in Hera if it was just strictly a Link to the Past. But with SMZ3, the item pool is just so big that the odds are not very great.
Yeah,
that you'll get your weapon.
Yeah, that, or if it was a pendant, that would be a difference as well. If it was a pendant and you could potentially get both items and not have to come back, that'd be a much better play, I think. Do it weaponless.
Yeah, I agree.
Asher might be a little bit bummed out when he gets his sword immediately here, the very next check. Meanwhile, we're seeing Alucard kind of tread over the steps that Azder's already taken. He has not done Wave Gate yet, but he is farming a little bit extra here, so he's likely going to do that as well before leaving. So that'll be a new check we haven't seen. Alu getting a lot of power bomb drops, and then there's the supers that he wanted.
Yeah, there's bugs are like 4% to drop a power bomb, so that's really funny.
Yeah, they get 2 almost back to back.
I think azder, forgetting exactly which side the hook shot was on.
Just a few attempts. Alucard gets that wave gate glitch. He's able to see what's behind it. Nothing of worth, unfortunately, for him. And we'll see where Azure decides to go here. He could go into wreck ship. He can check everything in there but the reserve tank item, which he can scout out. He just can't pick up. He could go down Red Tower into Upper Norfair or back to Death Mountain. What do you think, Bunny? Where do you think he's going to go here?
I'm thinking wreck ship. And then after that, down Red Tower. Kind of think he probably won't end up doing like the Blue Bryn area until he finds speed, or until he gets locked in another way. So yeah, like you said, he'll miss out on being able to collect one item, but he can at least see it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Did you see what was up there? I was very,
Oh, wow. That's going to be nice. Not enough E-Tanks yet to do some of the hell runs. But Azure very capable of that if necessary, although it's always slower to do the hell runs and have to worry about farming and doing crystal flashes when you can just have the various suit, not worry about it. That's nice.
yeah.
Meanwhile, Alucard getting kind of lucky here with these blue Brinstar checks. He gets 2 power bomb packs, so he's able to get all these cleared out. I was actually a little surprised he opted to go this way as opposed to going down into Kraid's Lair with his powerbomb count. But there's the mitts, and I missed what was in the ceiling. Was that flute?
The flute, yeah. So that's
Wow.
pretty hefty reward.
And there's the pearl on Azure side, so we're just getting everything all at once here. Okay,
keep
so it's
up.
really opening up. So that means once they cross over and do what the opposite is doing right now, they'll have access to Lower Norfair with mitts and flute and
Yeah.
space jump. A little scary on 2 energy tanks.
Yeah, it is. And those flames in the beginning, they will still hurt you like the normal flames. But yeah, without a suit, Fantoon will do 40 damage to you. Ozer's kind of used to this loadout or worse, but anything can happen. Fantoon is not nice.
Yeah, this is about what you'd have for. It's actually better than what you'd have for New Route.
Yeah. One thing I find that if you don't have very much health, having a lot of missiles, you can play it really safely, and you can even make Fantoon disappear every round if that's how you want to play. That's sometimes what I do, kind of cowardly, but gets the job done. We're gonna get a scout of the climb supers here.
This is dangerous, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's quite deceptively dangerous to check this. Cause yeah, the acid, it's like 40 damage per second or something crazy. Just 20 rupees though.
It's a lot, and you can kill the Boyons. Looks like that's what Alucard's going to do on the way back, just to make sure he doesn't fall in again. You can kill him with power bombs or with super missiles, but he doesn't have enough super missiles to do that.
Yeah, I think it's 4 supers each. Yeah. Alright.
Both runners looking a little scary on health. Both less than 1 energy tank at the moment. I guess as I say that, Alucard gets a couple energy drops from the pirates. In much better shape.
Yeah, I think we'll see a save here on Azder's side, and I'll check the wreck ship E-tank, spike remove death item.
Yeah, absolutely. Not taking a save here in a race like this would be probably pretty foolish. Even if you just accidentally KO through the platforms, you can die. You know, one little missed input that those things are very finicky. It's not worth the risk. I guess space jump does make it a lot easier.
Yeah. It also makes the room with the energy tank a lot easier. Some these jumps are pretty tricky, and then especially if you have high jump, which Azder doesn't, but nice and easy here. Just bomb, so he's gonna reset. So that save does double duty. You can reset really quickly if it's nothing you want, and it saves you if you die.
Yeah, absolutely. When we see Alucard taking advantage of the flute and mitts, I suspect he's going to go either up Death Mountain with the flute. I suspect that's where he'll go first. Death Mountain, clear out all of that, clear out Tower of Hera. He can do all of it but the basement, but he does know Hera Pot, and he might opt to do that and hope for the items at the top without having to get that big key.
It's a wave beam from the sick kid. That's pretty nice. Now our +5 bomb capacity at the wave gate is in logic.
Yeah, I don't think he chose to pick it up, but good to know it's in logic. As you're taking some damage to get through these robots a little bit more quickly. Taking a little bit too much there on that spark, has to drain his reserve tank.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was gonna say that thing will do 60 damage, please.
I didn't know the damage value, so I was very scared he was in one-shot range.
Not
But he
quite,
definitely
but
is now.
yeah, now anything will kill him. Very ill help, but not quite enough. Use that and use the mushroom at Wreckship Reserve, lock behind speed booster. Ugh.
Wow, so that's a pretty mean fetch quest location. It's ultimately you can kind of just pretend like you never saw it. But it's hard to do sometimes. It really can get in your head a little bit. Still just as unknown as what the location was before.
Exactly. This bug is very generous with their 5 health drop.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't farm at least one more of them. Opting to play it safe, use the power bomb there. Wow, and still doesn't get very good health drops. You generally get a lot of large health drops in that room. I don't know what the percentages are. Do you know that, Polar Bear Bunny? For the pancakes and the waivers?
I don't, but usually it's like 24 or something like that. Just and then when you're in health bomb, it's just yeah, he just got really unlucky, I think, with the small health.
Yeah. Luckily, he's got the space jump, so it doesn't need to damage boost across the spikes. Doesn't have to farm up there. All right, with no items yet, looks like Alucard's also going to be getting the small key out of the basement, or the big key rather. Use the small key to get the big key, so he'll be for sure able to get all the items in this dungeon, and no doubt he'll be clearing it with the sword in hand.
Oh, I also missed Alu doing a map check. I like this though. Both runners Azure didn't have the hook shot, but I don't think he would have done it. I like both runners not doing the hair pot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, if you have zero, if you have neither of the items, it definitely makes a lot of sense. If you already have one, it makes the Harapod a lot more enticing. It sounds like we had the red crystal was Skull Woods. One of them was in Skull Woods, and Turtle Rock was the final pendant. So potentially no Ice Rod Hunt. That's nice for the runners for sure. A little less medallion requirements as well. You only need the one to get into Misery Mire.
I love how Azur's health alarm is still going off, and he's not gonna stop it. Because that's a waste of time.
Yeah, what do you have to do to stop that when this happens? I'm not too familiar with this. I've seen it before.
Just pause and unpause, and it'll go away.
Oh, yeah. That's slow. Who does that?
Exactly. Not Azder, that's for sure. I think Alu got both items there, if I'm not mistaken. A missile and a 20 rupee.
I think it was the map, actually, if I saw correctly.
It was kind of in the corner of my eye, so...
Well, it doesn't look like anything good here in Red Tower. Azur's going to be going back down and probably be clearing out a bunch of Norfair checks, I would imagine. Either that or the East Death Mountain area. Potentially. Probably one, then the other. So we'll see what he decides to do.
Alu going in for Moldorm here. It's going to be 6 hits with the Fighter Sword, no matter if he does spins or slashes. So the Fire Sword fight can be a little bit trickier.
Yeah, it guarantees the enraged state, but very nicely done to protect himself from getting knocked off the edge there. Kill Moldorm. Meanwhile, I was mistaken. I had forgotten that Azur's already unlocked the save and quit Death Mountain, so he's going to clean up Wavegate and the rest of these blue Brinstar checks, it looks like. A little surprising since he still doesn't have Speed Booster or very many Power Bombs. But you are kind of running right by it on your way down Red Tower again, so I see how that could make sense as well.
Yeah, hopefully he does make his way into Blue Bryn, because we know that's pretty much where the progression is. Alucard found the shovel on Moldorm, actually.
Well, that's 2 of our 3 fetch quests we've located. The shovel's one that's kind of nice at this point because you're going to be by there to get it on the way at some point, either entering Dark World or Village of Outcasts, or as you're doing like the South Dark World loop, you could mirror to get that check done. So that one's nice. You can kind of not think about it too much. You'll just get it on the way eventually, and maybe make note of where you found the shovel if it's anything good.
Azure playing with fire there. He was only able to take 1 hit from those side hoppers.
At the same time, we see, I don't think anything really worth it in Paradox Cave here. Nothing super valuable. I mean, there was an E-Tank, some health and ammo, those kind of things. Nothing exciting.
Yeah, I think I peeked another bottle as well. But yeah, nothing too great.
Yeah, I think the caliber of both of our runners here, beyond the first bottle, you might fill the first one with a green potion or a blue potion, for safety somewhere. But beyond that, I think they're going to be fine. Hammer was spotted though, and Alu does not have the Moon Pearl, but when Azder gets up here, he will be able to get his hammer on his first trip up Death Mountain if he gets those mitts beforehand. Which I guess he's getting as he leaves here, isn't he?
Yeah, I hope so.
It's unfortunate that Alucard does not have that Moon Pearl. It was at the Spooky Missiles. So he can't get that hammer just yet. At least he knows it's there.
Yeah, you can peek around this mire area. We'll get a look at what our medallion is, probably. As long as this pterodactyl doesn't stalk him too badly. Yeah, he's gonna play it safe and mirror right now. Get this item, just missiles. He's gonna skip them.
And dipping into Desert as well. With it being a pendant, I don't mind this. It might be boots locked. There might be an item on the torch, but it's a pendant, so you don't have to clear it. It's not super risky doing this before going back to the mire area, checking mire shed, which Alucard, I believe, knows the Super Bunny. So it was a little intense on Azder's side, not to fall in that acid, but I believe Alucard knows how to get in there with you can use the mirror as you enter Mire Shed to give yourself Super Bunny state and grab the chests without the Moon Pearl. I'm kind of hoping we see that. It's a pretty quick one if you're consistent with it, and could be good value.
Azder takes a dip, unfortunately, but very smartly, laying a power bomb to actually get the Bouillons to have iframes so he could space jump through them. Just unfortunately got caught up on the last one there. Luckily he is very, so I think the acid does less damage per frame.
It was very intense either way. And we actually don't see Alucard jumping into Mire Shed. Perhaps not thinking about that or not feeling like he's consistent with that setup to make it worth it. It is out of logic. And he can get back pretty quickly.
And Quake for Mire, and then there's Quake. So
yeah,
you can go in.
Laughter. You see a little laughter on his side.
If he wasn't a bunny, he could go in.
It's nice to see the cameras for our runners here, watch their reactions. Looks like they're both having some fun with it. Both generally pretty stoic, but we did see Azder chuckle a little bit in the mini Moldorm cave when he was getting dodged, and Alucard had a little laugh there at that Quake medallion find.
Yeah, I love this a lot. I think all races should be like this from now on.
Alright, Azder activating his flutes, and I'm guessing we'll see Death Mountain from him too. It is for sure the most dense area left for him. And I think we're going to see Lower Norfair from Alucard. So a little smile from Azder too, getting that wave beam after he went back to the wave gate, then gets the logical access to it.
There's the Book of Medora at Screw Attack.
Yeah, that's interesting. So Alucard doesn't have the Various suit. This.
Oh, there's gravity.
Oh wow! I was thinking he might take that book and lock it in by going out and then back in the door, because he's not going to be able to kill Gold Chorizo with his ammo count, with his beams, and no Various suit. It might be possible with his equipment, but probably not worth the time and maybe not something he's comfortable with. But that's really good knowledge to have scouted that. Hopefully the book doesn't end up being important, though, if he can't get back there quickly.
Yeah. So this seed wants you to go in through the Mire portal and then go wrap all the way around and back over to the top to Golden Chorizo for your Lower Norfair routing. Kind of funny, kind of a silly spot for gravity when you think about the logic for the lava dive portion requires gravity, so in this logic.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see, kind of just seeing some retreading of our runners. we're probably not going to get to see any new checks for a little while. Actually, I take that back. Azder's going into the Dark Death Mountain first. He'll be going up Super Bunny and then mirroring to do the Light World checks.
Yeah, and he'll be able to grab his hammer. I don't think he knows that it's there. I don't see why he would, but...
Yeah, not yet, but he'll be mirroring at the top of Death Mountain anyway to go into Paradox. Or did he already do Paradox? He did Paradox. Yeah, this is always kind of tricky to route sometimes with where you want to mirror, because there's always a decision of you do the Dark Death Mountain checks first, then mirror because it's extra mirror warps, or do you just walk around more to do it without the mirror transitions? It always kind of feels like, to me at least, that it could be done faster if you had it all figured out. But
yeah, I agree. I never really know how to route it. Just like a heart container and one of each ammo in a hookshot cave. So yeah, he didn't see the hammer. That's funny. Or maybe he did, but I think it's weird that he didn't go get it. Was that Ether on Turtle Rock?
I believe so. And it is a pendant. So hopefully we don't need that, but it is Ether. Not the one we have. Or not the one that Alucard has, anyway, that he picked up in Checkerboard Cave. Yeah, as you're not getting that hammer, which is a little unfortunate, because that would certainly make his Moldorm fight faster and easier if he had the hammer. The hitbox is a little bit strange, but it's not too bad, and it does significantly more damage. You only need 3 hammer hits to kill Moldorm.
Yeah, and I'm kind of thinking, like, if he didn't get it then, when is he going to get it? I don't think he knows it's there. I'm confused.
I think... Yeah, I'm not sure. He's probably going to want to go down Spiral Cave after this, since that hasn't been done yet. So he might head back to the east after leaving Tower of Hera, take the mirror portal that he left back to the Dark World, and then when he gets on the other side of the hammer pegs, mirror again. But it's certainly going to end up being a little slower than if he had just scouted it earlier.
Yeah, I hope he remembers to scout it. And doesn't think he already did.
And at the moment, nothing too novel to report on Alucard's side. He does have a little bit nicer Phantoon fight, mostly just because the patterns he got were a little bit better, it appeared. Got the Phantoon fight done very well, and he's got a lot more health here, so he could opt to not take the save. I think he will. He generally likes to do the save here, just to be able to reset if the item is not important. The wreck ship E-Tank.
Yeah, I like the call to save here. As you mentioned, one little cargo would probably take like 2-3 E-Tanks off of him, so...
Okay, and this is good for Azder. He is doing what I had expected, heading back to the east. He's doing his map check that he hasn't done yet, so we get to see that again. Since we kind of missed it the first time.
Yeah, I definitely did. So it was Swamp is the other red one.
Yeah, Swamp is the other red one. Which we are flippers away from having access to. And then for Skull Woods, that's already available. So we could have an early Pyramid Fairy, potentially. Looking for that Cane of Samaria, potentially looking for boots. or potentially another sword. Alucard having a little bit of trouble entering the attic, but once he gets moving here, gets the second half of the enemies cleared out, no trouble.
Yeah, he's got a really nice ammo count so far. And so, crisis averted. Azder gets his hammer. Gonna check out Spiral now, which I don't think was anything. I don't remember.
Yeah, I want to say it was rupees, but that might not be correct. Even worse, just an arrow capacity upgrade.
It's one of the worst things in this entire game that you can find, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with silver arrows, there's not really much of a need for that. The bomb capacity can be useful sometimes, especially early on if you don't have good ways to deal with enemies.
Now we're seeing the mushroom up there, and just loving it.
One of those "why is that there" reactions. And with all of the Dark World pretty much open here for Asher, his pick of where to go. Does have to start with Hype Cave. It's very item dense. Makes a lot of sense. He's going to have the choice of whether he wants to go... I imagine he might go west here into Village of Outcasts from the bottom. He could go into Pod. He could save and quit and go into Village of Outcasts by fluting, or rather just mirror and flute. But nothing really good in Hype Cave. That's it's pretty lame. Not at all hype.
Yeah, not hype. Chat saying there's Sync Heart in there.
Thank God other thing.
Yeah, it looks like he is gonna wrap around to the village with them. Oh, there's Speed Booster on Stumpy. That's nice. And we will get the shovel check finally.
Oh wow, and it's Ether to get into Turtle Rock. No cane yet, but that's all we need to be able to dip Turtle Rock and do most of the dungeon.
Oof.
Alright, so we'll see where Alucard decides to go. I kind of suspect that he's going to go back to Link to the Past pretty soon here and go grab that gravity suit in the book and just get those in his pocket. You definitely want the gravity suit. It opens up so much. It's a safety and it speeds up. Obviously, there's things in Meridia you can do without it. You can do all of Meridia without it with the right item set, but it's going to be so much faster. And the rest of Lower Norfair is pretty much on rails as well. So being able just to do that and get everything that's on path as you go would be pretty nice routing from him.
Yeah, there's just so much open between these two guys. Yeah, I don't know what's best. Maybe we'll see him do the Dark Death Mound because he knows the hammer is there.
True.
Yeah, the Grav is also really enticing, so...
Yeah, I think not having a way to clear out Spike Cave and not having the book in hand is going to keep Alucard away from the hammer. I imagine he'll get the book first so he can check the Ether tablet when he makes the return to get his hammer, because he knows he can do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That would be pretty good routing, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely not one correct choice here. This is the kind of seed that you like to see where it opens up and we get to see that possible divergence. And you know, there's so many dense locations. There's several crystal dungeons that are open. Whole chunks of Super Metroid.
The ice rod on
Oh
the
my.
Smiths. Oh, almost the whole Total Rock care package for azder coming up here. We just need that Kina Samaria. See, I was gonna call flippers in Turtle Rock, but chat is being even worse and saying flips are gonna be on pad.
That's certainly a possibility. That'd be interesting too, because at that point, we wouldn't necessarily see an advantage from either of our runners right now, since Alucard has, you know, the green pendant already done so far for no value, but azder has all the stuff to get into Turtle Rock.
Yeah, maybe that bow wasn't bait for Alu after all. Maybe he needed to do that. Got some rupees there in the chess game. Probably see a cleanup of Thieves Town and then the village, and then probably right up to Skull Woods naturally.
Yeah, for sure. It's important to note, azder did do the first part of the Smith chain. He did the Smith turn in and hammer pegs. Did he do purple chest and I just missed it?
He did, actually.
Okay,
Yeah.
he did flute to do that. Okay. I know it's a little awkward to route sometimes when you come in from the south because you can't just take it with you as you continue to clear. Okay, so he does not have that hang over his head.
And there's that Thieves Town small key right there in the front, so good odds. I think we only got one item in the front, so good odds that there is something in the big chest, but no need to worry because we have the hammer.
Yeah, we saw the compass, big key, small key, and some junk that I already forgot.
Yep, exactly.
Alucard did another Kraid quick kill, very nicely done. Both runners showing that they've mastered that.
Yeah, thanks to our tracker SaveUX, putting some useful links there in the chat and keeping our tracker up to date. And just shout them out. azder playing the song of his people for us.
I mean, sometimes it gets boring just walking through these dungeons. You got to do something, right?
I agree.
Some of the longer hallways.
That was the map there. So the last 3 chests here in this dungeon, only in blind, will be an item.
And we've got Alucard finishing up those checks at Kraid's lair as well that we saw azder do. Didn't really turn up anything there. And we'll see what he opts to do here at Business Center. I suspect we'll see the high jump items first, and then probably scout the Croc escape item, and then I'm not sure if he'll opt to do Upper Norfair or if he's gonna go back into Link to the Past and then start tackling some of that that's available to him.
A Master Sword in the Maiden Chest for azder. For Alu here too, Crockmire is actually in logic if he wants to do the SM Pendant Dungeon.
That's true, it's in logic with that wave beam.
Blue Cane in the Thieves Town Big Chest, so wrong cane, but could be useful for Spike Cave, I guess.
Yeah, looks like Alu is going to be picking up that hammer. He's going to East Death Mountain right now. I'm not sure I like this. Like I said, he knows where the book is, and he doesn't have it because he reset it away. So he's not going to be able to check that when he goes up here. He also doesn't have Spike Cave available, which there's several ways to get that in logic. He's got a bottle already, so he could buy a potion and be able to get through Spike Cave with a potion if he had to. But if that Ether Tablet ends up being nothing and Spike Cave isn't important, then he doesn't lose any time. Okay.
Azder having a very rare, not so good blind fight, actually using that blue cane that he got and taking out blind. So yeah, if you don't know, the blue cane actually does damage blind just fine. Usually an entire bar of magic is just enough to get the job done.
Yeah, that's really good on azder to keep his composure. That fight doesn't go wrong very often for someone of his skill, like you said, but when it does, it can get scary, and it just shows how good he is at the game to not let that shake him and know exactly when to take advantage of that blue cane. He's shown the same thing in Super Metroid. Just he's playing it risky, but he knows his limits. He knows when to stop and play it safe, so he doesn't take any unfortunate deaths.
Yeah, and kind of to your point about Alu's routing, I do like this choice better than doing Upper North Fair, because like he knows the hammer is here, and then I think the best thing he could have done probably was go to Lower North Fair and get that gravity. So it's like he already knows where two of his big items are, so maybe wasting time in Upper North Fair is not really the best decision.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there might be a decision too based on his opponent, and some things like his equipment count and his ammo count. He doesn't have I think he's only got 30 supers max right now, no charge beam. So Lower North Fair can be a little bit tedious. Doesn't have high jump, he doesn't have plasma, he doesn't have screw attack, so like you can take a lot of damage in there and it just goes slower. So he might be expecting azder to have made that play. And kind of routing against it, trying to stick to Link to the Past until he gets some of those safeties.
Yeah, that could be.
We could potentially see some sync here in Skull Woods. Both runners in the same dungeon at the same time. Nice to see.
First item, a missile. Azder will have a little bit of an easier time with Moth than Alu with the fighter sword, but he did just go pick up some potions, so.
Yeah, we might see, I guess with the potion purchase, it's likely Alucard will use the fire rod predominantly in the fight, but you can always use the hammer as well. It only takes 4 hammer hits if you get Mothula not into the spikes.
Yeah.
It'd be tough to do, but is the quickest way that he's got to deal with the boss if he's able to execute it.
And we've got a vanilla big key, and I like just going to the back here anyway. We know we've already gotten all our small keys out of the way in one item, so there's just one item left, and then also the map and compass out there.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised we didn't see the back first from azder. A lot of times you can do that to hope to score the items in the back and not even have to clear the front of the dungeon, but potentially looking for something to make the fight faster. You know, looking for boots to make the walking faster. So it certainly does make sense.
Generally, yeah, I like coming to the back when you have Fire Rod too. Usually, if he's doing it like this means that he plans to go ahead and save and quit once he's done with Mothula, or Mirror and Flute, I guess, in this case. But unfortunately, he got that big key, which could lead to the last item, so he might have to walk back anyway.
Alright, nice fight from Azder. Having a little bit of difficulty with some of those spikes, kind of tinking his sword against them instead of hitting Mothula, but really well done. Having to charge sword spins kind of makes you very vulnerable. It's really hard to maneuver around with the conveyor and everything, and he does a good job not taking too many hits and doing it really quick. While Alu using his hammer. Moth getting kind of stuck up in the top right corner for him. Not sure switch to that Fire Rod.
Azder did get the last item, which was the red boomerang off of Moss, so he can just Mirror and Flute away and now go into Pod. And Moth down for Alu as well.
Yep, Pod's a good choice. There's so many good choices with how many really dense areas there are left. Pod's another crystal dungeon. It can be a long search sometimes for the big key anyway, so it makes sense to come here when you're looking for items and not worry about potentially go-moding it. Even though it's a long dungeon, it's probably always going to be a long dungeon. And Azder's not done Sahasrahla or Eastern yet either. So these 3 quick Sahasrahla checks make a lot of sense to get on the way.
Yeah, he'll be happy to see he didn't miss much. I don't know, we'll see if he actually takes the dip into Eastern after Pod here. Only thing to note really about Pod is it's out of logic without the lamp. But in SMZ3, the lamp can be in very convoluted places in the logic chain, so these runners are probably just going to go ahead and do things without it.
Yeah, and with the Fire Rod, that's a lot safer too. The most dangerous room in this dungeon is the turtle room in the dark, and with the Fire Rod, that becomes a lot easier, so Azder doesn't have to worry about that one too much. Just the dark maze. It could potentially trip him up a little bit or slow him down. And then for Pod here, there are a couple different ways to route this. We do see, even with the small key in hand, Azder's doing the right side first since he's got bow. Whichever one is best kind of just depends on the key layout for the most part. 4 of the first 6 chests in here do have to be small keys, logically. So there's a good chance he'll just be trading key for a little bit and not getting very much value. This is nice doing it the way that Azder's doing it because you can potentially get information on the vanilla big key chest and save you the trip of going there if you learn that it is a guaranteed small key. But the downside is if it is an item, or in this case, it's very likely an item, you've taken a little bit extra time going to the right side first instead of routing it in smoothly after the other drop-down chests here.
At least though he does have the mirror, which makes this dungeon's so much better to route. And yep, Vanilla Mickey Chest was an item. Got that out of the way. And then the big key down in the Stealthos basement. So he knows the chest here on the bridge coming up will be a small key. So I'll probably go ahead and snag that and then go to the back.
Yeah, he could opt to do the boss first, hoping that he gets an item there and can potentially avoid checking some chest along the way, looking for that contains the map or compass. But with the mirror, it's not too much of a difference.
And a missile and a super so far, azder.
Yep, Alucard making his way through Thieves Town with all the garbage items in the front, and he'll be finding his sword in a little bit in the Maiden Cell. He's just got to sift through all the maps and compasses and keys up front first.
Yeah, worth noting the newest version of the SMZ3 gives you the lamplight when you pick up an item, so you can actually see what item you pick up. Just a workaround, kind of a different way than the regular standalone A Link to the Past does things, but gets the job done either way.
Yeah, it does look really interesting, like we saw where Azure had one of the torches lit, so the room wasn't at full brightness, and it still flashes when that chest is opened anyway, and it looks a little strange.
Dark Maze having the lamp or the map and the compass.
Not what you want to see.
No, pod not having much value. Although to be fair, there's not a whole lot left to find. But there is an item on Helmasaur and it's a crystal dungeon, so gotta get through it.
Yeah, we still need to find that Canis Samaria, Flippers, and potentially Boots if we have a GT big key on the torch. As unlikely as that would be. Yeah, and just to clarify in chat, while our runners are making their way through these dungeons, the goal of the game is to beat both Super Metroid and Link to the Past, finding all the items between the two. If you're not familiar with this, Super Metroid Link to the Past combo randomizer, items are shuffled between both, and there's portals between the games, and it creates a lot of really dynamic, interesting routing decisions. Makes it a lot of fun to watch. Hopefully you stick around and enjoy what you're watching.
Oh, that's a really nice blind fight. And as you're gonna take on the turtles in the Dark Turtle room here, doesn't have a whole lot of magic, so if he chooses to light the torch and misses, he could be in a little trouble. But he gets it there.
A little trouble with the turtles being out of sync, hitting one, flipping the other ones back over, but he's got plenty of time with that torch to deal with them. Very well done. And we'll see 17 hits to the shield on Helmasaur King's face to break that, and then we'll either be seeing 4 hammer hits or probably a menu, and Silver Arrow 1 does it very nicely from azder. Finish off Helma King with ease.
Just 10 arrows on Helmasaur, so pod completely dry. And it's also kind of a funny pod layout with the big key there in the front, where you could theoretically go mode pod if you're Alu at some point.
Yeah, that might be the best possible layout you can get for go mode. It's still pretty likely that even only needing a couple items, it's still likely that Alucard dips in there at some point. You see Alucard's reaction to that ice rod. Yeah, he's a little scared of that one.
Yeah, that's a little gross, that ice rod.
And where was our ether medallion again?
It's on the shovel spot.
Oh, so he'll be picking that up shortly, and knowing that ether is the opener to Turtle Rock, we might see a similar reaction at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do see Azure losing that time that he had saved over Alucard here by not having done Eastern earlier. Mirroring after pod is going to be the quickest way to do it. So it definitely makes a lot of sense to do the speed thorough while you're right in the area. Unfortunately for Azure, there's nothing here. Oh, and it was 2 items up front, so he's going to be leaving. That's it's a bold play, but I like that.
Yeah, that's a play he's kind of been dabbling with lately. But yeah, like chat mentioned, the bow giving us absolutely nothing other than the crystal and then access to the top of GT later. So kind of silly that the bow was the first thing these guys picked up.
Yeah.
Now we're up to the fire shield now. That would have been helpful for the blind fight, but that's about it.
Yeah, and Alucard picking up his speed booster, and probably going to be a little bit less excited for the ether.
A slight facial expression, but nothing too extreme.
Yeah, and Azure's continuing to eat into that time that he had saved over Alucard. It did appear like he was ahead for a while because Alucard did some of these more out-of-the-way checks, like the Desert Palace dip. I believe Alucard did a Desert Palace dip anyways, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I think he did.
Alright.
I think there was an item, or no, the big key is on the torch in there, and then so the last item could be in the big chest or on landmill.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, and Alucard again not having that book because he reset that away. He's not able to check that Bombos tablet either when he was right next to it, turning in his purple chest. So that's another one that could be a little bit unfortunate if one of the tablets has something that he reset that book away instead of like saving it first. Yeah, book was in screw attack, and Alucard picked it up, went into Gold Chorizo, saw the gravity suit at the space jump locked item, and then reset it away. All right, we're still not seeing Lower Norfair play. This kind of surprises me at this point, from Alucard at least, knowing the value that's there. Azure looks like he'll be doing that next. He's right here in the area. I'd be pretty surprised if he didn't with his options that are available. But he does still have fully clearable Crystal Ice Palace. And a handful of overworld checks available too.
Yeah, I don't know, I think Alu might be just like playing, trying to stay in the game that he's might be more comfortable with. not exactly sure how he feels about both games, but maybe knowing Azure and his skill in Super Metroid wants to get kind of a leg up by avoiding it mostly. But just knowing that gravity's there, that would just call to me, I think, no matter what.
Yeah, and even if you expect Asher to have done the same play, you want to go through Lower Norfair somewhat early. I know it's a mistake that I myself have made, is not going there early enough when all the checks in Lower Norfair are on the way. And so far, with the density and Link to the Past, things have been pretty much on the way for Alucard, but at this point, we do have pod where they can be on the way or they can be out of the way. Like we saw, Azure already full cleared this. All the items were in the back and nothing was worth. So it's just an unfortunate time loss.
No Gomo pod today.
Yeah, nice gold Chorizo fight from Azure. Doing a good job of getting in as many supers as he can while staying safe. Had to farm up a little bit to be able to finish off the fight. He'll be taking a loop around to grab that gravity suit and then proceeding on to Ridley.
And gravity suit just makes Lower Norfair so much nicer and so much safer. Take half the damage that you would take from all the enemies, and you can move pretty freely in acid. It's just a lot better. And reminder that statue does not drain the acid unless you actually have the space jump item. That's what the game looks for to let you get this item.
You see a nice black and gold color palette on Azure's sprite. At least that's what it looks like on my screen.
Yeah.
The color's a little bit washed out, but it's a cool sprite. There are several sprites if you're playing this or interested in playing this and you like the sprites. They recently added a bunch more for SMZ3. Some really interesting ones for both games. Some of the Super Metroid ones have a lot of trouble, have some interesting hitboxes that are a little bit unintuitive. But the one Asher's using is pretty consistent and in line with the traditional Samus sprite.
Yeah, interestingly, as you're not finishing Lower Norfair, and I think that is strictly due to his super count after defeating Golden Chorizo, because he likes to save time and farming loses time, so he's not going to be bothered with that. So probably check this stuff out and head to Meridia. And another Azure thing, completely ignoring half magic. So sad.
Yeah, he's very well versed in low percent, of course, for both games. A low percent in Link to the Past certainly doesn't have half magic, so he does not need that. It's pretty handy for Trinex if you need to do that fight with Master Sword or for Cold Stare, but potentially not worth the time to grab it.
Yeah, I think my favorite time to have it is Cold Stare when you don't have bombos in your inventory. You don't have to be scared to go into the Cold Stare fight with not enough magic, because I think we've all been there.
Oh yeah.
It's not a good situation.
And even if you do hit all the shots, it's going to be faster to finish off phase 2 with the fire red anyway, so a lot of
Yeah.
people will still pick it up anyway, even if they don't feel like they need it. It's a good convenience item. It can save you from grabbing a few magic potions or a few of the refills on the way up Ganon's tower as well, depending on what strats you're using. See, as you're dipping into Meridia, interesting again that neither of our runners are doing that lower nor fair. Like you said, refilling is slow, and Azure doesn't want to take the time to refill ammo. I'm surprised. You do have the option too of just refilling at the ship, topping it all off. I'm not sure what the time difference is on that between farming enemies to get your super missile count up. But Meridia it's big and open, and even though there's a lot of items, it is spread out. So you can potentially lose a lot of time in here as well if it's not necessary.
Yeah, there's lots of twists and turns in Meridia, a lot of backtracking that can be done if you have to check every single item.
Absolutely. You see Alu with a similar Dark Turtle room that we saw from Azure. He gets the turtles a little bit out of sync, but still more than enough time to handle them before the lamp goes out. So nicely done. That's a nice damage boost from Azure off of that that enemy in this yellow Meridia area. I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
I missed what he picked up there.
It was the red mail, actually.
Oh.
So that's surprising. Not picking up the half magic, but picking up the red mail. It is a little bit closer than the half magic was. That one's, I guess, potentially close enough that by the time you think about it and decide if you need it, it would have been faster just to pick it up.
Yeah, half magic about 30 frames too much to be worth it for azder. One interesting thing to note, so we get our third bottle, and charge beam. Ooh, well that's good. Now you don't have to worry about ammo as much. But I was going to say, neither check tool nor plasma are actually in logic right now. And those checks being the longest checks in Meridia, don't have a way to get the check tool at all, not even the ice beam way, which is out of logic, but a sequence break that you could do. And also don't have screw or plasma to kill the plasma pirates.
Yeah, with Speed Booster, they could potentially get the Plasma Beam item, but if you're leaving Shack Tool, I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't see that and they left the Plasma Beam as well.
Yeah, Speed Booster will get the job done. I think those two items are things that you just shouldn't do out of logic, in my opinion. They're just so long.
Yeah, I would agree. And we see Alucard going into Lower Norfair. He's going to fight Gold Chorizo entering from the intended side. He's going to get his Gravity Suit before the Gold Chorizo fight, which doesn't really make a difference. And then we'll see where he opts to go afterwards. Well, we see Azure resetting away the sand pit. Looks like a double heart piece on the left one. Pretty bad.
It's kind of good, though, to not see any value in the sand pits that you have to go back for.
That's true. Yeah, if especially if both of them have value, then you have to decide how you want to do
that. That's so annoying.
You see, as you're not having the full 10 supers it takes to kill Batoon here, it opens up with some missiles. And then it's going to finish off with a few more missiles or some shots. Yeah.
Everyone knows it's impossible to hit Batoon with regular missiles. It just is. Don't even try.
It's terrible. I don't understand that hitbox myself, and I've heard others say the same thing.
I think I saw the flippers.
Indeed. All right, so Azure certainly saw those as well. He's going to be coming back for them after the Dragon fight, since they don't do him any good here. That'll open up all of Swamp Palace and Ice Palace.
Yeah, so it's just that elusive Kana Samaria for Go mode, I think. And yes, that does kill Ped. Sorry, chat.
Yes, it does. Well, I guess not necessarily, because Pedestal could have boots for the GT Big Key on the torch.
Desert's boots lock, though.
That's really... Oh yeah, you're right. Never mind. My mistake.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, oh.
Could still have something helpful or convenient that we're just not going to get, like a ice beam or high jump boots.
Maybe tempered sword.
Ooh. A little bit of a grimace on Azure's side there, missing that shine spark just a little bit too high for Dragon.
I don't think he's pleased with his boss fights today.
And another shine spark just a bit too high. Some pseudo screws to finish off Dragon before she leaves the screen one more time.
Alder did choose to go ahead and farm up his supers. He got pretty much to maximum here, so he should be good for the rest of Lower Norfair. Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of difficult to line your shots up correctly. Your shine sparks up on Dragon when you don't have high jump boots. It's pronounced azder. But he doesn't mind if you just say azder.
Speaking of, he does pick up his flippers, and looks like he's going back into Link to the Past through the convenient portal right here. It's actually a really good spot for them. Well, I guess depending on where he's going to go, he might just mirror and go straight into Ice Palace. Could do Swamp first.
And I think he can mirror here and take a peek into Ice Rod Cave. I don't think he got that done. But just as one of kind of the quirks that you'll only see in SMZ3. Or maybe some kind of cross keys shenanigans, I don't know.
Yeah, this is a really nice efficiency to not waste too much time on that missile pack. Ooh, meanwhile, we get the Cane of Samaria. The Cane of Shamaria.
Yeah, I guess it's no mode for us. Azure will definitely run into that. So it's not in a trolley location that Azure won't find. It just depends on how long till he decides to actually go there.
Yeah, and then one of the disadvantages is he's doing Ice Palace, and I suspect he'll do Swamp Palace as well afterwards. And these dungeons are both sped up by having that red cane.
That's true, that is a little bit of a disadvantage. Still a reasonable play. Can't You can't be afraid of Ice Palace without the king. Sometimes you still gotta do it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Both these runners have been around and playing since well before Icebreaker was a thing. Very confident in their Ice Palace bomb jump. It's one of those things where you know it's significantly faster with the cane, but like you said, you can't be afraid of it. That's a really good way to put it.
The worst thing for azder, I think, will be like his decision on whether to do left side swamp, which can take a couple minutes. He's being silly. What is he doing?
I'm not really sure. He could just throw another bomb. He's he had a couple options. That was a bit unusual. He could have thrown another bomb from on top of those gold or brown or whatever color you interpret that to be pegs. Or just laid the bomb and walked through like he ended up doing there. Trying to get a little bit too fancy with it.
Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, meanwhile, Alucard does a great job taking out Ridley, using missiles and super missiles in tandem. Kind of glossed over that, a little distracted by the Ice Palace shenanigans, but very well done. Yeah, and we'll see what Alucard decides to do here. If he doesn't get anything else of value in Lower Norfair, this is really interesting how this is shaking out, because Alucard's going to be tempted to do all of Upper Norfair as well. But he'll be able to go mode Ice Palace and Swamp, whereas Azder's in the exact opposite situation. He'll get that cane and hit go mode and not have to do anything in Upper Norfair, apart from the few checks he's already done.
Alu could be like super cosmic brain here and go reverse amphitheater back to Meyer.
Yeah, I don't suspect that's what he would do here. Not only because there's so many checks you're dodging in that case, but also, playing to your opponent, knowing that's a play that Azure would be comfortable with. You kind of have to think a little bit. You don't want the meta to get in your head, but you know that anything that's dangerous in Super Metroid is something that Azure is not scared of at all.
Yeah. I was kind of kidding, but it's something I've seen Azure do. We saw our last shield there at Firefly E-Tank. Also, Alu's health is not good enough to do reverse amphitheater anyway.
Yeah, he could grab an extra power bomb and set up for a crystal flash, but at that point, it's just not worth the time. I think that play would actually make a little bit more sense for Alu if he had some more good Link to the Past checks available. He's got Misery Mire, and that is right where that would put you, but I don't know if that's a good enough offer to make that play.
Yeah, that probably would possibly be the fastest way to get back to Meyer if he had been in go mode, but he's not in go mode yet. Without them flippers. I think chat was saying we saw plasma on Asher's side. Well,
yeah, it was the H room, I believe.
Alu's in a tight spot. These key hunters do 50 damage. And he doesn't have ammo to take them out. Oh, he can take exactly,
Okay.
Yeah, he's gonna have to come down here and kill him. And you want to stay kind of away from the wall, because they can come down through that one tile gap very easily.
Yeah, and at the same time, a little bit less scary, but Azure in a little bit of trouble with his magic too. It's kind of bailed out that the the blueberries drop magic refills, so he's able to top it off in that final room before Cold Stare. If he'd had half magic, he wouldn't have had to worry about it.
Yep. And now he has to, now he has to Master Sword, Cold Stare. Well, he can Hammer, but
Yeah.
Hammer, slightly dangerous, but Red Mail helps out a lot.
He's using the strategy by keeping his sword out to extend the hitbox of the hammer, just like you can on the Helmasaur King fight. Land a little bit easier hits. Yeah, if you guys saw on the camera, it's hard to take your eyes off the Cold Stare fight, but Alu literally wiped the sweat off his brow on that Lower North Fair escape.
He gets an E-Tank.
Gets an E-Tank, which is very convenient timing.
Yeah, that was a really smart play to get out of that situation for Alu. I think some people might just panic and keep trying to go upwards, but he decided to go back down and then kill the Key Hunter, so that was really, really smart.
Yeah, I'm curious to know if he was doing the math in his head too when he was looking at his menu, because he paused for a while. I don't know if he was just trying to gain his composure to like make sure he had his plan, or if he was doing the math to see how much of his reserve he wanted to drain.
Yeah, it was kind of funny that it turned out to be exactly 150.
I mean, since Asher's never going to be any closer to these Zora area checks, unless he potentially were to do Catfish. He's doing these right after Ice Palace, which makes a lot of sense. We haven't seen him yet either, so there could be something convenient, but not going to be anything required.
Could be the lamp.
Yeah, it could be lamp. Either of the boots that are remaining would be helpful. Ice Beam would be nice. Another sword would also be a pretty good time save for speeding up all the remaining dungeons. And it's none of that, just an E-Tank. It's Zora.
Boo.
Suppose we do still have that slim chance of the boots on the Torch and GT, but it's very unlikely that'll be the case. If you're running this, you just assume that's not required.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if it is required, you're in the most dense location you could find them, being Ganon's Tower, so you check there first. As you're cleaning up Hobo, finishing off the Flippers checks, and there's the lamp.
Yay! Thank you, Hobo. Hey, if I want lamp anywhere, it's Meyer, so I'd be happy to see that lamp.
Oh, this is a little unfortunate for Azure. I thought maybe he was going to Lower North Fair here, but instead he's dipping into Misery Mire. That's kind of surprising. It makes sense, because if this is where the cane is, then you're in just fantastic shape for the race. If it's not here, you still have to look for the big key anyway. But depending on where that big key is, this could be a time loss, pretty substantial one. If the big key's hard to find, if it's the cutscene chest or it's out of the way, this might still work out for him. And funny enough, we see Alucard making the same dip with the cane.
To me, I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me. Lower North Fair is very, very linear. You pretty much run into all the items on the way through, so you don't have to go out of your way really to check anything. But I don't know if he just wants to have this cleaned up before he goes into Lower North Fair, but it's such a small chance. I mean, he's still got Swamp out there,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This plays a little weird to me.
Yeah, I think I'm not really sure. It could potentially have to do something with the fact that Lord Norfolk has been available for so long. It's been on the table, and he's just chosen not to do it. It might be to the point where he's assuming, okay, if it's there, then everything in the seed was free because I had, go mode -1 with my flippers at an hour and a half in. Might be thinking that might be a decision that if it's there, that's bad for him competitively, but I'm not sure how he processes those kind of decisions.
Well, knowing him, he probably has a perfectly reasonable explanation, but I'm just not seeing it yet.
Yeah.
He does get the small key there in the compass chest, so that means the big key is going to be vanilla here in the cutscene.
Oh, misses the fire rod shot on that torch. And we see Alucard not doing his usual patented fish room strats.
Aw, I would love to see the fish room.
I think he would do it if he was looking for just the big key or just an item, but missing both, it kind of loses some efficiency. If he had the big key, I would suspect that he would have done it.
He has to burn his other potion there due to not having the awesome lamp. And he knows his Meyer key logic as well, going right for the cutscene.
Checking chests. This is not the optimal item layout, but looks like both runners getting equally punished by it.
This layout looking ugly. One more chest for azder. There's a piece of heart. So hopefully this is the LN play now.
And I think the second item is on Vitreous. I don't believe we saw anything else.
I think so too. I don't know if I saw a compass or another item. I don't remember.
Yeah, we did get all the dungeon items. I know. I believe there's some cases where small key can be on the boss. Maybe I'm mistaken on that one.
Yeah, I think
Well,
I think we did get all the dungeon items. So yeah, there's an item on Vitreous. So he's still low on supers, but now he's got charge and plasma, so much better equipped to have a quick Ridley fight and no need to farm.
oh yeah. How many shots is it with charge plasma wave that he has?
Minus ice, I think it's 24.
Okay. Yeah, so that's not too bad at all. And he can throw in a couple supers as well, if need be, to make it a little bit faster. Plasma Beam actually is going to be making a big difference in how safe this is for azder versus Alucard's clear. He's not going to have to worry too much about those key hunters.
Yeah, Plasma Beam is really helpful. Obviously easier to just kill him, but When you shoot the plasma beam through enemies that it pierces, you can run through the enemy while the enemy has iframes during the plasma shot, so you'll probably see a little of that on Asher's side. Meanwhile, Alu in the Dark Mire room, which is just awful sometimes.
Yeah, and as you say that, he gets through it very nicely.
And I did catch him snagging a fairy here in Mire just in case something goes wrong, but he seems to be in pretty good shape. Alright, and at 153, we are in go mode on Asher's side.
Yep, that's a nice go mode time. He's just got one Super Metroid boss left to go. Just 2 more crystals in Link to the Past. And the final boss of each game. Nice microwave strats on the metal pirates here.
Yeah, with the metal pirates, you can even do the microwave without charge beam, so that's kind of cool. And 2 boss fights. Vitreous with silvers, probably going to be quite a bit quicker than a Ridley fight, but
yeah, absolutely.
Both pretty easy. And screw attack on Vitreous.
Oh.
A little late for that one.
Yeah, and it does. I doubt it'll make any sort of difference, but on Alucard's side, it does put 1 more item in Meridia in Logic.
That's true.
So I suspect that's where he's going either way, but the fact that it gives him 1 item logically is just a little bit more of a nudge that direction. Floating to 1. Yep, this tells me he's going into the portal. He'll be going through Meridia. He does have a handful of checks up front, though, that he's going to be checking before getting those flippers. Oh, he's not going into Meridia.
Where is he going?
This could be a Turtle Rock play. Yeah, this is an interesting decision, going into Pendant Turtle Rock. I mean, he does have everything to clear the dungeon.
I mean, it's a reasonable play. It's just unfortunately not the one we want.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many items in Meridia, and Turtle Rock has... I really don't like this play. I think there's a lot of keys in here, especially up front, so you know you're going to get, like 3 of the 4 small keys fairly early, the big key fairly early, possibly, 1 or 2 of those dungeon items early. And when you think of it that way, your real, checks per minute ends up being kind of slow, unless it's a crystal dungeon, until you get to Laser Bridge. At the same time, if you're going to be doing that, if you want to be skipping Meridia, because like I said, Meridia has a lot of slow checks, it's spread out. I think he wants to skip that, but at the same time, you could do some of the Link to the Past overworld, like North Dark World to Catfish, and then take the backdoor Meridia and try to get that same efficiency. I think you'd be better off doing that, but...
And I definitely called it with the reverse amphitheater on Esther's side. Looks like if he's doing it, it probably is the fastest way back to Meyer.
Yeah, that's very nicely done.
Yeah, I kind of think Alu's reasoning here is like he wants to find the flippers in a place that Asher's not gonna look for a while. It's just, yeah, it's unfortunate they're not going to be here. Yeah, if the boots are in here and then the key is on the torch, that would be something else, but
Yeah, he did grab the
not
boots.
likely.
Yeah.
Oh, he did? Oh.
Yeah.
I missed it. Sorry. Okay, well, that could be something.
I just didn't pick them up, but I saw him dashing on his way to the chest in that torch room.
Boy.
From on the right, so.
I don't think I can handle something like that today. Azder's already got the big key in hand for Meyer, and it goes straight to the back. Alu already came up with 2 items in TR. I think the big key is vanilla in this layout here.
Yeah, in spite of me talking about how it's usually a very front-loaded dungeon, this one turns out to not be the case.
Yeah.
Which just means it's going to have more junk items at the back. Yeah, this isn't quite over yet, but it's definitely looking pretty bad for Alucard and pretty good for azder. Barring that big key on the torch, I'm not seeing a lot of ways that Alucard could make up this time difference. He's behind one SM boss currently. He's behind. I guess they're tied on dungeons. But azder will be taking that lead in just a moment here when he finishes off his vitreous fight.
Yeah, and honestly, even key on torch is not a definite win for Alu, because Turtle Rock after GT is probably going to be the first place azder goes, so look for the boots if he needs them. And they're right there in the first chest.
Yeah, I would agree. We might see a ether tablet check. Obviously, the rest of the GT basement, probably including tile room, before a dip into Turtle Rock. But yeah, I agree. That would be reasonable to do that next to save you the Death Mountain climb.
Mimic Cave holds our Spring Ball, making chat very happy. And then powder in Turtle Rock.
Yeah, that's also not good for Alucard. He's probably going to be chasing that a little bit. It's a quick turn in. That, you know, if it were the flippers, would be a pretty big find. So I imagine he'll be chasing that right after this, before doing his Super Metroid checks to finish it up.
Only 2 items left here in this dungeon. One is just a piece of heart. And a reserve tank. So, we'll see. Is he gonna do Trinex? I think he is gonna be thinking about it. I think the kind of just in case flippers are on pedestal play would be if he goes and kills Trinex.
Yeah, very indecisive, back and forth with that doorway. Just gonna decide what he wants to do. He might go turn in the powder first. I don't know.
Not really sure either.
That's my guess. Turning in the powder first, or checking Pettis. Well, at this point, you might as well just have done the fight. You're so close. It's only a few rooms away.
That is, see, this is exactly what Azure did in his A Link to the Past race earlier today, and in his case, Trinex still had an item on him, so I was super like screaming, like, "Why are you doing this? Just kill Trinex! Like, this is way longer." But I don't know. When you're racing, your head is wrapped up in all sorts of things, and as we know, Pedestal dead. Not even anything good on it, just bombs. But I was screaming.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I was not happy.
Yeah, I mean that did end up being faster, but had that been the item, it would have been much slower. As you're checking some chests on the way here, these really on-path ones, and gets rewarded with the tempered sword.
Swamp always has a sword.
Nice. Yeah, and at this point, looks like Alucard's doing the North Dark World checks, and probably will be doing Meyer from the back after Catfish. That's what I would guess. That way, he's able to kind of get these out of the way locations that he thinks Asher may not have checked, but also get that advantage of not having to full clear all of Meridia, which seems to be his goal.
Yeah, there is that portal right next to Catfish that takes you down near the Dark World portal to Meridia, and you can just peek inside to the item after Batoon, and he'll see his flippers there in go mode.
Well, we're talking about Alu's routing. Azure does a nice job finishing off Argus. I want to point out that was a really nice silver arrow shot, standing right in front of Argus to minimize the amount of lag that arrow creates on screen. It tends to be easier when you take a little bit more distance, but it's slower, and he did it very fast. So the little minor optimizations that show just how good Azure is and how good Alu is on the other side as well, because they're having great boss fights.
Yeah, Alu's been having a great run. I'm not as familiar with how good he is at the game, but I know he's been playing a long time, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and for anybody still just joining us or trying to figure out what's happening in this race, Azure is in go mode. He's just pushing through dungeons, clearing the game. Alucard is unfortunately still missing his flippers and finding a vanilla cape at King's Tomb.
Wow! I remember one day having to ask Azder what Vanilla King's Tomb was, because I had no idea. Did he just do a curtain jump? I guess
Yeah,
that's his only
really
way
good.
over.
Yeah, that was really good though. That setup
Yeah.
was smooth. He didn't have to break stride at all. I know there's a couple different setups you can do, but that's again just like I talked about with Azure's Argus fight. Is these minor optimizations. That setup was faster than you'll see most people do it.
Yeah,
Really nice.
that was awesome. I guess I looked over that small fact that he didn't have the flippers to get to the
Yep.
portal. I think not a whole lot of people actually know the curtain jump, so that was really great.
And now Lou's gonna be checking Zora while he's here in the area. We'll see where he goes from there. If he backtracks to that whirlpool, Or, I mean, at this point, backdooring Meridia is pretty out of the way. You'd be better off with a save and quit and then fluting like to in front of Swamp Palace and taking that path. Although he doesn't have the flippers, so I guess he can't go that way.
The flippers are ruining everything.
He can fake flipper from like the Dark Witch's hut, like by the potion shop.
Oh yeah.
There's an easy fake flipper set up there to take the whirlpool, but he's just opting to stay with it's still a long backtrack either way, unfortunately.
And the GT torch is dead.
It is dead. Unfortunately, we didn't talk about the GT big key. That's okay.
Say to you, our tracker got the game going, sort of. So thanks to them for doing that and tracking for us. Round number 5, number 6 is small key, number 7 missile. We're getting the 2-hour and 8-minute escape play. Let's go.
I mean, honestly, I don't blame him. And we didn't see the front of escape from azder either, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, and I think that's a good call the way this seed played out. There didn't really seem to be a lot of reason to get there, to go there for anything.
Yeah, he is just hard avoiding Meridia.
Yeah, at this point, this has to be... It has to have something to do with measuring or knowing your opponent. If this was a seed that Alucard was playing, you know, casually by himself just to finish fast, I think that we would have seen that Meridia play already.
Yeah, he does grab Bombos, which will be helpful in Ice Palace. And I lost count on the big key guessing game, so...
I didn't start counting, so I don't know where we're at either. But there it is in Rando Room. We did find it.
There it is, in a chest that has a number. Also, the gold sword, worth noting. Kind of funny.
Yeah, certainly not needed. But not a bad thing to find. And we did see the map was in front of escape, which means there is an item here in Dark Cross that didn't get checked as well either.
Yeah, still no lamp for Alu on that hobo.
And just E-Tank for all that trouble in the dark room.
Chat saying 13 is the winner, so if you chose 13 at home there, pat yourself on the back. Nice job. Azder's Gauntlet going pretty well with that gold sword. Nothing to fear.
Yeah, it's a little tougher without boots. In particular, that 5th room can be really tricky because you can't just stop your momentum and dash straight through the door. He does a great job of redirecting his movement and getting out.
Seeing just some supers on that Bombos tablet, so yeah, the book didn't end up hurting anybody today.
Yeah, I think at this point, this definitely seems strange to me for Alucard to be checking the book locations, because he knew where the book was when he was first in the area around that Bombos tablet. So if he's thinking, my opponent could have had the gravity suit before me and could have done Meridia before me, he also knows that that azder would have had the book before him and had ample opportunity to check these as well. So that's really interesting to me that he's checking these before Meridia.
Yeah. Yeah, just how long he put off collecting those 2 items. I mean, if I'm him, I can see thinking that Asher might save these books checked for a long time as well, so that could be the thought process there. Both tablets actually having supers.
Yeah, and then this time he does have the cane as well, or I guess he's not doing Spike Cave.
The map and compass up there in the mini Helma room for Asher. Unlucky. He doesn't need anything though. I don't know what he's looking for.
Maybe the boots.
Ice beam, maybe? Yeah, the boots.
Yeah, ice beam boots. Maybe high jump would save a couple seconds.
Alright, Alu, finally on the right track. Yeah, for a second when I said that I didn't know what azder could be wanting, I forgot that this was combo. I was just thinking in terms of Link to the Past. Like, what do you want?
Looks like he might have wanted a little bit better Aga 2 fight. Kind of rolled his eyes a little bit there. He was able to only get singles on a couple of those in a row, but not too bad. I think the first one was a triple that counted as a double. It looked like they hit at the same time, so that's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually a 3 or 4 cycle Aghanim is something you're happy with, and beyond that, it starts to get a little frustrating, but not too much time lost still. Dropping into Ganon, final boss.
Should be easy peasy with the gold sword and the silvers. Alu ignores the red mail. Interesting. He's going full speed ahead for them flippers.
Oh yeah, azder didn't fill up his magic at the top of GT. That was interesting. But it makes sense. He's got more than enough, especially with silver arrows, to not have to worry about it. It's just one of those things you see everyone do, so you don't even think about.
Gotta save those frames. Get your 1G in chat for azder. Now he has to go into Super Metroid and complete Turian. Now he's actually gonna check out what's on the pyramid here.
Actually, that's a really heads-up play. I would not have thought to do that, but I mean, if that was Ice Beam, it would have certainly been worth it.
Yeah, I agree. Alu there did find his charge beam at Aqueduct and is now gonna safe scum these sand pits. I don't know, go -1. I might actually not check the sand pits in this case. And wait till after Dragon, in case I run into him.
Yeah, I actually agree. That's because the items on the way back are so on path. At most, you have one extra transition to get to Dragon's item, the space jump location. That's probably the furthest one out of the way that's left. So I agree with you, Bunny. That's what I would do here. But it's just maybe how you're used to routing. Overall it's faster.
Yeah, I could see like if his plan is to, if he doesn't find flippers anywhere, his plan is to go through the portal by Dragon, so he doesn't want to come back this way. So that's probably what he's thinking here. Also, you're doing really neat strat with the power bombs you can do in these Metroid rooms. Basically, kind of, if you lay a power bomb where Rinka is spawning, the power bomb will actually hit all of the Metroids in the room for some reason. Don't ask me why, I have no idea. Just the way it is. Last room, getting a little low on health here. Doesn't have that spring ball to kind of jump rope the Metroids with, but Screw Tech will also help you not take damage. There's go mode for Alucard at 219.
Yeah, you see, he shakes his head a little bit, like, can't believe that's there.
Yeah.
Like, probably thinking that's not good for him. He's done a lot. It's crazy to think, when you look at the time, this is only 2 hours and 19 minutes in. So Usher's looking at, sub 2:30 here. That's a just unreasonable time. And Alucard's not on bad pace himself, especially with how much he's checked. He's just gone through so fast. But when you know your opponent is this good, you can't feel good hitting your go mode at 219.
Yeah. I think if you feel like you're the underdog, the worst thing for you is something like a Jet Seed.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Surprisingly, we don't see microwave strats on Dragon.
Yeah, maybe he forgot that he can do that. Wait, he doesn't have plasma, does he? No, he doesn't have plasma, he has an Ice Palace.
Oh, that's right. My mistake.
I could have sworn I saw him shooting plasma, but I'm just seeing things at this point, I guess.
You're having a little trouble with these Rinkas, kind of all on different cycles, getting in his way. But handles it pretty well. Down the first phase of Mother Brain.
Yeah, those Rinkas will respawn immediately after you kill them when you don't freeze them with Ice Beam. So they can be really annoying. 24 shots on Mother Brain as well. So this should be a really quick fight for us. Sure.
Yeah, he's got perfect amount of health for stand-up glitch as well. Here with his 7 E-tanks. Save a little bit more time based on that as well.
Yeah.
Damage is down for the stand-up glitch. We'll be making sure he's airborne when the baby Metroid comes back on screen here. Looks like based on what we're seeing, Alucard's going to be in Swamp Palace as azder finishes up the seed. Barring anything unusual happening here. Which he does have X-ray, so if he were to have made a mistake and get stuck on the ground, you can pop yourself back up using that X-ray scope. There is an issue that can happen where you get too greedy, fire too many shots at the wrong times, and the game slows down considerably.
Yep. You can also get the baby stuck in the ceiling or in a position where Mother Brain is not actually hitting the baby.
But azder knows what he's doing, avoids any of those pitfalls. Does a good job getting a lot of damage in, especially without Ice Beam. Still does enough damage to just get a few extra shots. I didn't count, but that was very quick. Mother Brain 3. And all he's got to do is escape in the next 3 minutes.
Can he do it? Now here, just gonna take a couple minutes each for Swamp and Ice. But yeah, just unfortunate that he chose to kind of avoid Meridia. I think he had good reasons. Just kind of trying to make the plays that azder wouldn't play. But it just didn't work out today.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely appeared to be playing to his opponent and taking a little bit of a risk. So get your GGs in chat. azder does finish up an official time of 2:25:30. That is a remarkable time. I mean, sub 3 is good. Sub like 2:30 is crazy.
Yeah, GG's azder.
It's like,
Yeah, Nalu's gonna go ahead and take a forfeit, but GG's to him as well.
yeah, get GG's in for Alucard as well. That was a really good race. Let's see if we can get the runners in here for an interview in just a second. If they want to discuss the seed. looks like we're getting them in for in just a moment here, getting everything set up for post-race interviews as we see the stats roll by on Azder's side. And those are very good times we see on the statistics up on Azder's stream. Sub-hour in Super Metroid, and he did quite a bit of it. There was really, other than Upper Norfair and a couple of slow one-off checks, like the Shack Tool Plasma Beam, he did pretty much everything. Didn't do Waterway with the late speed booster. That is a lot of checks to do very fast.
Yeah, excellent time. Looks like Aller stepped away here. So go ahead and pull in Azder. He's waiting here. Hi, Azder.
Hello.
GG.
Thanks.
Yeah, GG. That was a really good show. Really good. See, that's a crazy time. Sub 230.
Yeah, my macro routing worked out really well. Like what order to do the big pieces in. Like once I went to Lower Norfair and found Gravity, I decided doing Meridia would probably be faster. Hopefully get some better movement items or beams for Lower Norfair to try and get it done faster. And also, I didn't want to, like, as long as there were a lot of things that were relatively like fast and easy crystal type stuff still available, I didn't want to necessarily do Lower Norfair and then get suckered into like full clearing Upper Norfair for nothing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Was that a similar point for you, Alucard? We're joined by Alucard as well. GG's.
Hey, GG's.
Because you also put off Lower Norfair a little bit. Both of you guys did that longer than expected.
Yeah, it was the item set, really, that put me off of it, and I played with the mindset that nothing's in Meridia. That was my plan. Once I saw that Gravity and left. So I just decided, you know what? Let's take. I was taking a lot of gambles this seed. I felt like I had to because my early game didn't pay off, and then there was just so much free stuff in Brinstar. So I just started making gambles.
Did you do wreck ship first?
No, that hurt me too. I dipped out and went, and that I actually saw Gravity at that point in the game because we had Flute, Mitts, and Mirror, and I was like, okay, well, we can do a bunch of interesting things here. So I went up and I saw, Hammer on Death Mountain before I had Mitts. Before I had Pearl, sorry. And then I went over to, I dipped Lower Norfair just to check GT so I could reset and go back to wreck ship. And I thought the route was cool, but I was like, oh, there's a Gravity here and there's a book here. It's like I kind of want those, but I can't really do it now. And then once Pearl and Varia showed up, I was kind of upset because those were the 2 items I needed to get the items I had seen. And I knew you would probably routed all that in cleanly.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the most part, there was Azder. You didn't have your hook shot from Gauntlet your first trip up Death Mountain, so that was a little bit of a disadvantage there, which was interesting because
It wasn't really. It didn't really end up being much of one, honestly.
Yeah,
so like I went up to Hera, and then I got the big key, and I save and quit with the intention to go get the hook shot, and then the second time I did Hera from coming from the right. So, even though I technically double dipped Hera, it didn't really lose as much time as it generally would. Like it was actually the bigger thing that I was missing was the sword.
Yeah, because you weren't able to kill Landmo as well, or not Landmo, Moldorm, on your first trip.
Yeah, so I didn't want to do the climb like that.
Yeah, which absolutely made sense, especially with both items there and it being a crystal.
I was starting to think I should have gone somewhere else. Like, I was like, I should have done Wreck Ship or something to look for a sword, instead of come this way. Like, I should have just gotten Old Man and then reset to Wreck Ship, maybe. But, you can't always, like, make perfect decisions, and sometimes you have to, kind of work with, like, if you started walking somewhere and you realize, this isn't the best place to go, but it's, like, it's also not the worst. You just kind of have to live with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Stick to your decisions that you make as you're making them instead of wasting time being indecisive. Which this seed had a lot of opportunities to be indecisive with how much it opened up for Dark World. Did either of you have a lot of questions about your like main Dark World entry? Like when you had Hype Cave, you had Pod, you had Village of Outcasts, Thieves Town, Skull Woods, like all that was open at once.
Oh, that was actually... I was way more thorough than usual for that, because I... so, like, if I get Hammer Dark World access, I like to do Hype Cave, because it's really dense. I want to make sure that if there's anything there that would be good for other areas, I get it first. And then having the mirror going the South Dark World made sense, but I also already had Flute activated, so I didn't really need to use that as like a way to travel there. Because usually, like, doing those checks is just a good excuse to do those checks on the way to getting to Kakariko, instead of just walking from Sanctuary. But with the Flute, that's not as much of an advantage anymore. But then it's like, if I flute to Village, I'm doing Thieves Town and Skullwoods. What order am I doing them in? What direction am I going after that? Am I just going back down, or do I want to leave it open so that I can go North Dark World? And just because everything was open, it was really hard to know what to do. So I just, I was just like, okay, that's fine. I'll just do, I'll just not do my crystal dungeons right away and do like the whole loop in a straight line, so that even though I'm doing just about everything in it, I'm doing it fast at least.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. How about you, Alucard?
I had a feeling that Azder was gonna stick into Super Metroid, so I kind of played the Link to the Past card. So I was just like, I'm just gonna stay in Link to the Past, ignore Meridia, ignore Croc, ignore Laura Norfair, and look for... I mean, obviously it was just so open, right? Like, what do you do? So I just picked, hey, let's just start clearing crystal dungeons. Let's try to cleanly route some of the overworld, which I think I did okay. I think there are some things that could have been optimized better, but I was kind of intentionally skipping some things. And then as things were degrading into, okay, I guess I better go to Lower Norfair and get this gravity suit, you know, I started checking some like the one-off locations, but I mean, I ended up finding those boots, which was exciting.
Hey, where were those?
They were the first chest in TR, so even if like Big Key was on Torch, I knew I was toast at that
Okay.
point. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Kano Samari was my go mode, which is actually a really good go mode for where it was. Like it kept me out of Turtle Rock, and I partially followed Flippers enough to do Ice, but I didn't want to do Swamp because I didn't want to have to make a left side decision right away. And then Swamp was going to lead into Pyramid Fairy, and Pyramid Fairy was going to lead into Mirroring to do the castle because I hadn't done that yet. And then that was going to lead into Catfish. And I was just like, it was the same issue as like why I didn't want to do Lore Warfare earlier necessarily, because like, hey, there's a really good thing you can do, like get your Crystal Swamp out of the way, right? It's got a lot of items, but then it chains really well into a whole bunch of stuff that you really don't want to do if you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And when my Gomo was Flippers, so like I didn't have to worry about that. I guess you popped in Gravity and then started clearing Meridia. Is that what ended up happening? If Red Cane was your go mode?
Yeah, pretty much. I went into Lore Warfare with the intention of doing it at that point, and then when I saw Gravity, I changed my mind.
Got it.
Yeah, I think Alu got baited pretty hard by a couple things that seed. Like the early bow, and so you did end up full clearing Eastern, which turned up completely nothing. I liked the play though, because I thought it was definitely something that maybe you think that azder wouldn't have done. So I definitely liked the idea of going there. It just sucked that it was nothing.
Yeah, it was 100% a meta play.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Absolutely. But I also like following when you see items like that. I kind of like following them pretty early, because you know some of those early game gambles don't necessarily have like a full-on impact on the outcome. So I kind of like making some gambles earlier. But then, you know, once I started clearing Dark World and got nothing, I was like, okay, well, we have to go to TR at this point. We have to do something that he's not going to do, and value has to be there at this point. So
I bet those boots were like really exciting though.
They were, yeah. And I found
Spring
Ball and Powder in there, and I was just like, please. There's all these meme items here in Turtle Rock.
How did you guys feel about seeing the mushroom at Wreckship Reserve?
Oh, that's worse than Mushroom Ped, I think.
You think it's... I mean, kind of, yeah. Because, like, when you're thinking about doing Ped, that's kind of your last resort anyway, but... that
like, Ped is not hard to get to once you've unlocked it, but
Yeah.
Wreckship Reserve is just terrible to go back for.
That, and you know that if you check it without Speed Booster, your opponent might go there with Speed the first time and not have to do the backtrack. Which Ped, you're never going to go to Ped in most seeds with all the crystal, or with all the pendants, unless it's super late.
I was close to checking that. I was like, that was something I was like, I think it's we're at that point soon. But then I was like, I should probably do Meridia.
Yeah, I was worried about some things like that too, because I think I was routing really cleanly and like pretty much doing everything kind of more or less correctly by the book, trying to waste as little time as possible. I dipped Mire early. That was like the one little bit slower thing I did, I think. But most of it was just literally do more or less the obvious decisions. And
Yeah.
I started to think that like you're gonna take some risks, I think. And what if you decide to just do one of the corners I cut? Like if you did Graveyard Ledge and Kane was there, I probably wouldn't have found that for a long time, because I would have done like 2 additional regions worth of stuff before getting there. Or like if it was on Mushroom.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I felt like I had to at a certain point. Like there was no other way out. It's like I'm looking for this one item. It's like it's either in Meridia or it's in some dumb spot, and I need to find that dumb spot.
There were a lot of, like, at least from my point of view, from where I was in the seat, there were a lot of dumb places that things could be, while also there being a lot of really easy free places.
Yep. It was fun though. It was a fun scene.
It was not a bad, like, nothing in the seat was in a really bad spot. So hard to win coming from behind with that, which is why I don't like making mistakes or like really bad plays against early game, things that don't work out, because then if the seat's free, you can't really come back from it.
Yeah, I'm usually a pretty conservative player, but azder's really good at the game, turns out. So you gotta make some gambles.
Yeah. Everybody left in this tournament is just fantastic at the game. Speaking of azder, how do you feel about your next match? Should be against the winner of Solsky and Error, I believe. Which is
winner of that has to play Maniacal.
Yeah,
that's right. Maniacal. They're
yeah.
Round.
I should, like, it's that's definitely a match I can lose. Like, if you look at weeklies, they win with like particular kinds of seeds. Like Maniacal especially, I think, has a certain type of seed that he's really good at, because he likes to set up plays that are really dumb, like if Morph Ball ever has a chance of being an ally, and if the seed ever pans out that way, I'll probably go for it. Something silly like that. So there are situations where he might be more likely to win. Solsky, I feel like I have a habit of throwing against.
You mean a history, I guess? I don't.
Yeah. I mean, he throws against other people.
No, but you have seen him do the same thing. So.
I know, but like sometimes it's like kind of you're on the bad end of a rock paper scissors kind of matchup, and like they might be prone to making a certain mistake against someone else, but you'll lose out to them. I have like not so much in SMZ3, but in the standalone randos in particular, there are some people that I have really bad matchups with, in terms of like, I can't say that one of us is a better player than the other, but their playstyle counters mine, and they will win a lot versus me, because my playstyle is just not very effective against theirs. But then they'll often lose to someone that I tend to win against.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
But anyways, like I think Solsky is a little bit better at spiking like really good results than Maniacal is. But they'll, like, the texture of those matchups will definitely both be different. If I get Error, then I'll have done a really good job, and I haven't raced him 1v1 yet, but he's gotten top 3 in some of the weeklies where like maybe either me or Aussie had trouble with something, or like everyone else had trouble with something, but he wasn't very far behind us, so
yeah, makes sense. However it shakes out, should be a good match for sure. Any since you're out, Alucard, any final comments you'd like to make about the tourney, about your experience here?
Great tournament, had a lot of fun. Good luck, azder. I know you'll do well. I know. You like, honestly, I think a tournament win is due for you, man. So, best of luck.
It's been a couple of years, but gotta let other people have turns. You know, I think like every tournament, every SMZ3 tournament so far, somebody different has won. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Agreed.
GG's again. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully everybody had fun watching. I had fun on commentary. Thanks for joining me, Polar Bear Bunny. Thanks for tracking, Sarah UX. Bunny, do you have anything else to add?
Nope, that's it. GG's, guys, and stay tuned for the Ocarina of Time randomizer coming up next, right after this. So, everyone, have a good night.